Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to talk about signs an avoidant is afraid of losing you. This does not always have to be in the context of a breakup. It can be in a long-term relationship. It can be in a short-term relationship. It can be in any form of connection with an avoidant. But you will see some of these behaviors, phrases, things that they say that can help indicate to you that they're afraid of losing you, to allow you as a person to know not only is that reassurance that they probably want to be there, but it also helps you to know that you're not the only person that's invested in the relationship. You're not the only person who's afraid to lose your partner, right? A lot of individuals who are in a relationship with an avoidant, they might be somebody who has some abandonment issues. Not all the time, but fearful avoidant and dismissive avoidant couples are pretty common. Anxious, preoccupied, and dismissive avoidant couples are pretty common. Sometimes dismissive avoidant and dismissive avoidant partners are together as well, but often it's going to be more common where it's fearful and dismissive, or anxious and dismissive, or anxious and fearful. And so there's going to be usually one that's a little bit more fear of abandonment. But sometimes because of that, you guys don't realize that the other partner, the one who might be a little bit more independent, they still are afraid to lose you. It just doesn't show up in the way that you might be familiar with because of your own fear of abandonment. So that's kind of the goal today, that I want to help you guys to see that your partner is afraid of losing you. Most of them are. That's why they're with you. And there are ways that you can see that so it can signify to you. Just because it's different than your fear of abandonment doesn't mean that they're not afraid to lose you as well. And it comes from the fact that they care about you and love you and they want to continue this relationship. And the very first one is more common in arguments and during frustration, but that doesn't mean it's not valid. I've told you guys this before. If an avoidant is feeling an emotion, even if it's a negative one, I'm not saying that's right, but it shows investment. So the first one is that they tell you they are trying, okay? So let's give an example so you guys can understand what I mean. Let's say you guys are having an argument and you're upset because they're not ready to move in with you. Let's say that's a conversation. You want to move in like, I don't know, a year, or maybe like 6 months because your lease is up and they're not sure yet and they're upset about it because they want to be there, but they're not there and they don't know why and they feel like there's something wrong with them and they're spiraling in their own way, okay? And that's fine. However, you might push a little bit more because you're frustrated as well, right? Two people can be frustrated at the same time and they might reply and say, I'm trying, I'm really trying, right? And they're frustrated. But this is because they're saying, I don't want you to hold this against me that you think I'm not trying. Like, because if you think I'm not trying, then you might leave me. I don't want that to happen. I am trying. Just because the result is not what you want yet doesn't mean I'm not trying. So I want you to give me credit for that so you don't leave me. That's usually where it's coming from, right? They don't like being under pressure, which is why it doesn't come across so romantic, right? It comes across very frustrated, very angry. But that doesn't mean the overall intention does not feel that way, because it does, okay? The next one is actually that they notice you're quiet or you're upset. And often it's not just that they notice it, they may actually verbalize or express it to you in some form of language, right? They're talking to you about it. They might say, do you want to discuss something? That one's really common. Are you okay? Or this one is very common, and I think you guys know this one. Are you mad at me? Right? Often, a lot of them who are more, I don't even know how to describe it. Are you mad at me is more common if they're less healed. I've noticed that because they're very conflict avoidant. And so are you mad at me is kind of like, they're like anticipating an argument. Whereas do you want to discuss something? I notice that's more when they're a little bit more further along the lines of their healing journey, because they're kind of saying, if you want to discuss something, I'm open to it. Whereas are you mad at me is kind of like, I don't want to talk about it, but I don't like you mad at me, right? Whereas the one, do you want to discuss something, is I don't want you to be mad at me, but I also want to resolve it or at least do something to make you feel better. But overall, doesn't even matter if they don't say anything. You can even tell that they notice when you're quiet or you're upset. It's not saying you're doing it on purpose. You're not withholding. It just, sometimes you're in your own thoughts too. Like, you're allowed to be fluctuating as well. And maybe you are upset about something they did and you need time to process, but they can notice that. And so you will see that behavior. This is a sign they're afraid of losing you, because somewhere they're afraid that if they leave you upset, it'll fester and you'll leave them. It is true, right? That's why this bothers them a lot. Okay. So the next one is a little bit specific, and I feel like a lot of you guys will not believe that this happens, but it does, okay? We don't talk much about these types of emotions on this channel, but I'm going to talk about something regarding like crying or tearing up. Sometimes that happens, okay? So often, this is kind of specific, if you guys get into some sort of fight, some sort of disagreement, and maybe you didn't resolve it perfectly. Maybe the issue is, let's talk about the original issue we were talking about. Let's just say two people are having a difficult time figuring out when they're going to move in together. One wants to move in, the other one's not so ready. Maybe they're not ever ready, or maybe they're taking their time, something, right? They have a difference. And they had a huge fight about it, and they decided, you know what? Let's put this on the back burner. Let's talk about it later. So there is almost no resolution, but they've decided to move on temporarily for the moment. And afterwards, they do something romantic, outwardly romantic, like a date. This is, I know it sounds so specific, but I see this described in session a lot, and I can see the emotion. So what ends up happening is sometimes during this particular moment, the avoidant partner might get a little teary-eyed, or they might get like noticeably emotional in their language, in their speech. And it's usually because a part of them feels both relief and fear that the next time you bring this topic up might be the last time they get to be with you. Of course, that's not true, but some avoidants, when they get really, really invested, their fear becomes a lot more prominent in these particular types of moments, because that's why they're so uncomfortable with arguments. Part of it is because they feel like if things aren't right, if they fail, right, it's part of their fear of failure, that you have a reason to leave them. And so that's kind of the emotion. So you might see them get teary-eyed, emotional, maybe more vibration or emotion in their voice. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, you know how some people, they have a certain change in their voice before they cry or when they're holding back tears? Sometimes I see that too. And it's something along those lines that you can see that an avoidant might feel. And the reason why I put this particularly in this video is because it usually is when they genuinely feel like, you know, if I don't fix this soon, this might be where I don't get to have this person anymore. So they're really investing in that romantic moment, but also afraid. The next one is that they clarify what they meant in case you took it wrong and potentially leave them for it, okay? Let's just say they said, I don't want to move in right now. We're still talking about that same topic, right? And they clarify, it doesn't mean I never want to move in. I just need more time. It doesn't mean I don't care. I do care. If I didn't care, I wouldn't be here. If I didn't care, I wouldn't be on the phone. If I didn't care, I wouldn't go on a date with you. They are clarifying it, even in a frustrating way. They're clarifying because they're saying, I don't want you to take it and spin it out of control, to which you leave me. And I was trying, right? I do want to move in with you at some point, right? And so they have a lot of these conflicting language, but the overarching language is, that's not what I meant. I don't want you to take it like that. Please take it like this, right? And the next one is the last one. And I don't like talking about jealousy too much because I feel like a lot of people might use it in an unhealthy way. But at the same time, you guys deserve the right to have information, even if it's not my particular cup of tea. And so the next one and the last one is they feel discomfort when they see you happy towards the opposite gender, if you guys are the opposite gender, right? So if your partner is male and you're a female and you're being friendly and talkative to another man, he might feel uncomfortable that you're happy. He might feel a little bit jealous, and he might be a little bit territorial or protective. Obviously, it's because there's a deep part of him, although he might know better. What if this guy takes you from him, right? And avoidants actually struggle with jealousy, especially fearful avoidants can struggle with it quite a bit. Dismissive avoidants, not as much, but somewhere deep inside, they do still have that fear because they feel like if they fail you at one point, someone will do better than them, right? And that's why you can hear a lot of dismissive avoidants when they feel like you guys should break up. It's usually, I can't give you what you want. Someone can do better, because deep inside, they do feel like that. And so avoidants can struggle with jealousy. So let's go ahead and summarize. The first one is they tell you that they're trying. The next one is that they notice when you're upset or mad at them. Usually they might mention it, but it doesn't always have to be. The next one is they get noticeably more emotional after a fight while doing something romantic. The fourth one is they clarify their actual intent so you don't take it wrong. And the fifth one is that they show some sort of discomfort or jealousy when you're corresponding with someone that they feel like could gain your interest. I hope this video was helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I will see you in the next one.